The samurai were the warrior class of feudal Japan, dominating the country's military, political, and social structure for over 700 years, from the 12th to the 19th century. They are revered not only for their combat skills, but also for their strong code of honor, discipline, and loyalty. The history of the samurai is a rich tapestry of war, philosophy, and cultural transformation. 1. Origins of the Samurai Heian period, 794 to 1185. Samurai have their roots in the Heian period, when aristocratic landowners hired armed retainers to protect their lands from bandits and rival clans. These retainers gradually formed a warrior class that became indispensable to Japan's feudal lords. Kamakura Shogunate, 1192 to 1333. This period marked the true emergence of the samurai class. After the defeat of the Taira clan, Minamoto no Yoritomo established the Kamakura shogunate, and the samurai began to assume roles as military and political leaders, directly serving the shogun, Japan's military ruler. This established the samurai as a ruling class, which dominated Japanese society for centuries. Bushido, the way of the warrior. Bushido was the ethical code samurai were expected to follow, often compared to the chivalric code of medieval European knights. It emphasized virtues such as loyalty. A samurai's ultimate responsibility was to their lord, daimyo. This loyalty extended to death if necessary. Honor. Samurai lived and died by their honor. A samurai without honor was considered worse than dead. Courage. They were expected to face danger fearlessly and accept death as a part of life. Benevolence. Bushido also promoted a sense of compassion, especially towards those weaker than themselves. Self-discipline. Samurai were required to maintain strict control over their emotions and impulses. A samurai who lost their honor would often perform seppuku, a ritual suicide also known as harakiri, to restore dignity to themselves and their family. Weapons of the samurai katana, sword. The katana is perhaps the most iconic samurai weapon. It was more than just a tool of war. It was a symbol of the samurai's spirit and honor. Each sword was meticulously crafted, and many samurai believed their sword contained a part of their soul. Wakizashi, short sword. This was paired with the katana in a dual-wielding style known as daisho, which symbolized the social status of the samurai. The wakizashi was also the weapon used for seppuku. Yumi, bow. In the early days, samurai were primarily mounted archers, and the yumi was a key weapon. It required incredible skill and strength due to its large size and asymmetric shape. Naginata, polearm. This long-bladed weapon was favored for its reach in battle. It was often used by samurai on foot and was also popular among female samurai, or Onna-bugeisha. Tanto, dagger. This small dagger was used in close combat and was sometimes used for ritual purposes, such as seppuku. Samurai armor and appearance. We will explain how samurai looks like. Armor, yoroi and do-maru. Samurai armor evolved over the centuries, adapting to the changing nature of warfare. Early armor, known as o-yoroi, was bulky but provided substantial protection during mounted combat. As foot soldiers became more common, lighter armor such as do-maru became popular, allowing more mobility. These armors were made from iron plates, leather, and silk, and were designed to protect while allowing freedom of movement. Kabuto, helmet. Samurai helmets were highly decorative and often featured fierce designs to intimidate enemies. They were also practical, designed to protect the head while offering good visibility. Hairstyle and clothing. Samurai often wore their hair in a top knot, shonmage, to keep it out of the way during battle. Their clothing, known as kimono, was typically made of fine silk for formal occasions, while more practical garments were worn in combat. The rise and decline of the samurai Sengoku period, 1467 to 1603. This era, known as the Warring States period, saw Japan plunged into a century of civil wars between rival feudal lords. Samurai armies were central to this period of unrest, and many of Japan's most famous samurai generals, such as Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu, rose to prominence. Edo period, 1603 to 1868. With the unification of Japan under the Tokugawa shogunate, the samurai entered a period of relative peace. During this time, samurai became administrators and bureaucrats, with many focusing on intellectual pursuits, such as calligraphy, poetry, and philosophy. However, their military role diminished as the country stabilized. Meiji Restoration, 1868. The Meiji Restoration marked the end of the samurai class. As Japan modernized, the government abolished the feudal system and prohibited samurai from wearing swords. By the late 19th century, the samurai ceased to exist as a formal class, though their legacy lived on in Japanese culture and martial arts. 5 important facts about samurai. 1. Samurai weren't always elite. In their early days, samurai were essentially mercenaries hired by landowners. It was only after centuries of power struggles and the formation of the shogunate that they became Japan's ruling class. 2. Samurai women, Onna-bugeisha. Contrary to popular belief, women of the samurai class also trained in martial arts. Onna-bugeisha, like Tomoe Gozen, were skilled fighters who defended their homes and families during times of war. 3. Samurai were skilled in arts and culture. Samurai were not just warriors. They were expected to be well-rounded individuals, skilled in calligraphy, poetry, tea ceremonies, and other cultural practices. The Ronin were masterless samurai. When a samurai lost their lord due to death or disgrace, they became Ronin. These masterless samurai often faced social stigma and lived difficult lives, as depicted in classic tales such as the 47 Ronin. 5. Samurai swordsmanship is still practiced today. Although the samurai class no longer exists, their martial arts and sword-fighting techniques, such as kendo and iaido, are still practiced in modern Japan and around the world.